Hello everyone. As of now, we understand how to write the bin definition using the XML file. And even we understand what Spring is doing after reading all those bin definition, or we can say that we understand how the Spring is creating the object after reading the bin definition which we have provided in the XML file. Today, we are going to see if we have any method inside any of our bin class, how we can call the method. So as you can see here, this is the traveler.java, and we have one method known as show method. Same as suppose if we'll go to the bus.java, we have some method known as show bus, and same if we'll come here, I have method. The method name is nothing but display. So suppose I want to call either display method from the bike.java, or I want to call the show bus method from the bus.java, or I want to call this method show method from the traveler.java. So how I can call this method? So to call this method, somehow I will come to this main class, and now here if I want to call the method from any of this bin class, somehow I need the object for that, or I have to create the reference variable for that. So suppose I'm going to create traveler t, and based on that t dot, I have to call the show method. So show method is there, I'm calling this. Now you can see here, once I'm trying to call the show method based on this reference variable of this class, traveler class, I'm getting some compile time error. You can see what is the compile time error. They're saying the local variable t may not have been initialized. So they're saying this is the local variable, and from the rule of the Java, if you are creating any local variable, you are the responsible as a programmer or as a developer, you are responsible to initialize that local variable. If there is any local variable, Java is not responsible to initialize that local variable. So this is the local variable. Now I have to initialize that. Now tell me how I can initialize that. So one simple way I have that I can initialize this reference variable using null. Now if you are initializing this reference variable using null, and now if we'll call this t.show method, so the t value is null, and on null if we'll call any method, you will get the null pointer exception. Let me show you that. So if you'll call any method on the null, or if you'll do any operation on the null, you will get the null pointer exception. And you can see here on my console, once I run this program, I'm getting the null pointer exception. They are clearly saying that cannot invoke com.spring injection example traveler.show because t, let me see, t is null. So they clearly mention here, since t is null, and because of that reason, you are getting the null pointer exception. So somehow I cannot initialize this tree with null. Now how I can initialize that? So one option I have that I can create the object for the traveler, and I can create the object for the traveler, and then after creating the object for the traveler, I can able to call this show method without any problem. The second option I have, as I said in the Spring, I am not going to create the object by ourselves for any of the bin class. So even here, I am not asking you to create the object using the new keyword. So I will not create the object now. Now what other option I have? So I want to initialize this reference variable for I want to initialize this reference variable, and I can only initialize this reference variable based on the object of this traveler. So how we can do that? So for that purpose, there is one method available inside the application context. Application context will provide one of the method. The method name is nothing but getBin method. I mean to say, now from the Spring, I am going to request, hey Spring Bin, I know you have the object for the traveler class inside your container. Could you please provide me the reference of that? So with the reference of the traveler object, which is available inside the Spring container, with that object, I want to initialize this reference variable. I mean to say this, now t will also point to the same object which has been created inside the container. But how we can do that? For that, they have given the method. The method name is nothing but getBin. Now how I can call the getBin method? So for that, we have to take the reference variable of the application context, ctx.getBin. You can see we have multiple methods, but since I need the reference of the bins, I'm going to call the getBin method. Now here we have to pass one parameter. Now I'm going to pass the parameter as a t1. I will tell you what is the meaning of this t1, why I'm passing the t1. Now the return type for this getBin method is the object. You can see cannot convert from traveler object to traveler. So in that case, even you can see here option, they are asking you to cast to traveler or change type of t to object. So here I'm going to type to traveler object. I want to typecast to the traveler object. So I'm saying traveler. Now somehow I'm asking to Spring, hey Spring, I know you have one bin running in your container with ID T. So here if you are passing this T1, what Spring will do, somehow I'm trying to pass one ID which is available inside the Spring.xml. If suppose this T1 is not available here, so once what is happening, like once I'm going to run this example, what Spring will do is what Spring will do, Spring will say, hey, or Spring will check is there any bin running in the container with ID T1 or not. So how they can check? So they will come inside this bin definition, or they will go to the container, and you can see here for every bin we have one ID. Now Spring will start checking is there any bin running in the container with ID T1 or not. If they will find any bin running in the container with ID T1, they will return the reference of that object. If there is no bin in the container whose ID is T1 running in the container, they can't able to return the object. They can't able to return the reference of that object, and somehow will get the runtime error. So as of now, you can see here we have the three bin definition, and the ID for that bin definition is the B2, and the third is the T. We don't have any T1. We don't have any bin whose ID is T1. Now again, if I'll run this program, what will happen? We'll get the runtime error. Let's run this example. So you can see we are getting the runtime error, and what is the error we are getting here? So you can see here no bin name T1 available. I mean to say Spring is not able to find any bin whose ID is T1 inside the container. And because of that reason, I'm getting this error. The error is very neat and clear. With reading this error, you can able to understand. They have mentioned that no bin name T1 available. Now what I will do, I will pass the correct reference variable. Okay, so now I want to pass the correct ID. So what is the ID here for the traveler class? So the ID for the traveler bin, you can see this is the traveler bin, and the ID for this is the T. So I'm going to pass the same T. Now, once I will request for this, now again Spring will go and check in the container, any bin running in the container with ID T or not. Now Spring can able to find one bin who's running in the container with ID T. Once they will able to find that, they'll say, hey, I have one object running in the container, or I have one bins running in the container with ID T. You want the reference of that object? Let me give you that. So now this line is not going to give you any compile time error or runtime error. And somehow this T is getting initialized with the object which is already created inside the container. So somehow the object which has already created, this T is going to point that object. And now this tree has got initialized. Now if I'll call the show method, will not get any null pointer exception, or will not get any exception. So now what I will do, I will run this example. And now if I'll run this example, what they will do, they will call this show method. And once this show method will get called, then from here this message will get print bus object value. Even this bike object value, I can say this is the bike object value, bus object value. And from here again we are trying to call the display. So they will call this, they will print this message as well. And after printing this message, even I'm trying to call the show bus method as well from here. So they will come and print this message as well. So let me run this example and let me show you now. So let me run this example and let me show. So run as Java application. Now you can see the console, you can see the output, you can see everything is printing here. So this bus object value and bike object value, this message is printing from the show bus method. And from the show bus method, I am calling some more method, and even that also is getting printed. And you can see we are not getting any compile time error, or we are not getting any runtime error. Now might be you can ask, okay, I do not want to call the show bus method. I do not want to call the show bus method from the show method. I directly want to call this show bus method. Is it possible? I'm saying yes. So tell me where this show bus method available, in which bins. So this show bus method is available in the bus bin, and you want to call this show bus method directly. For that, what you can do again, you have to come to the main class. We have to come to the lab1.java. From there, you can request from the container, hey Spring, I need the reference of the object for the bus bin. So what we can do, we'll write bus B, or you can create any reference variable, and then we can write, we'll do the typecast bus, and then what else I can do? We'll write ctx dot get bin, and then tell me what is the ID for this bus. What is the ID we have? So see, for the bus we have the ID as a B2. So I'm going to pass the B2 here. I'm going to pass the same ID here. So the ID is B2. I'm passing this here. And after doing this, what I will do, I will call the B dot, what is the method name we have? So bus method we have. Okay. Now, if you want to call this, you can just comment for the time being. And now you can simply call this so bus as well. And the message will get print from the so bus. So what is the message we have inside the so bus? We can see that it will print the bus model. So you can see here on the console, it is printing the bus model is Volvo, and the mileage of the bus is also printing. You can see the same message we can see here. You can see this method, and you can see on the console the message is printing. So always remember, if you want to invoke, or if you need the reference of any of the object which is running the container, for that purpose there is one method. The method name is getBin, and here we have to always pass the correct ID which is available inside our bin definition. If we'll pass the incorrect ID, or if the ID will not match with the bin container or with the bin definition ID, then in that case, we will get the exception saying that the ID is not available, or this B2 is not available. I hope this is clear for you. So this was the first example. In the next example, we'll see how we can achieve the same thing based on the Java configuration. So in case of Java configuration, I'm not going to create the XML file. We'll write the Java configuration file, and from the Java configuration file, I want to inject the dependency. One more point I want to highlight here, which I have not discussed anyway, like duration this example. This is not the main project. Even this is not the Gradle project. This is a traditional way to create the project. And to run this example, somehow you have to add all the dependency of the Spring. Now, how we can add the dependency? So to add the dependency, you can download from the browser Google's. You can just search the dependency for the Spring. If you not get the dependency, I will provide you the link. You can go to that link and you can download the dependency. And after that, what you can do here, you have to come to this, you have to select this example. You have to right click, and then you have to go to the build path. Then you have to come to the configure build path, and then you have to select the library. After select the library, you have to select the class path. Once you select the class path, then you will get the option add external jar. So you can see here, I have added all this external jar. Once you will click on this, they will try to browse from your system. And here you have to provide the exact location, and then you can open all those jars, and then you can apply and close, and then only you can able to run the examples. Here I have added all these jars. Okay. In your case also, you have to add the jars. Otherwise, you cannot able to run your example. The second option you have to convert this example into the maven, then only you can able to run. But right now, I am not showing you any example based on the maven or based on the Gradle. We'll see those examples later. So we'll see you in the next session. There we'll see like how we can inject the dependency based on the Java configuration.